Go on.
Right, you can sing now.
Going, going, going live. Woo, 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 woo. Thursday night.
No, it's exciting, isn't it? I may have bought a pattern today.
Oh no. Did it
Well,
fall in your cart?
well, you see this top that I'm wearing?
That is a gorgeous top.
This is Summerline by Hintermstein, Jutta Hintermstein.
Do I know Jutta Hinterstein?
I've featured a number of her patterns recently,
Right, okay.
so you've seen a few of them.
Right, excellent.
And I've got a pink silky top that I had on the other day that was one of hers. And there's this one. The navy one that I ripped out the other week was one of her designs. I really like that it's nearly always top down and there's never anything to seam afterwards. You just have a few ends to weave in. They're so well thought out. And I made this slightly longer in the body and I absolutely love wearing it, despite the fact that it has no sleeves.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, I've got a cardigan on because the temperature's dropped. We've had some rain. I've got the windows open. For the first time in what feels like a week, the fans are off. And the dogs are asleep without lying there going perving away like blooming Jimmy Savile in the corner with all the panting and heavy breathing.
I am very, very June has been awful so far. We had the first 2 days or so that was still really hot from the end of May.
Right.
And since then we've had nothing but rain and cloud. I had a couple of hours of sunshine the other afternoon from about, I don't know, 1 o'clock, and that's it. Just had this horrible sea threat hanging around for days. Won't go.
Yeah, I saw it on the forecast. It didn't look attractive on even on the app, let alone in person.
And it's just been there for days. It won't go.
I had to wash my hair twice today. I washed it.
Why? What happened?
It was just so humid this morning. Really, really close and humid, and you could feel that the weather was changing.
Right.
Within an hour of getting up and having washed it and just left it to dry, it was swirling and spiraling all over the place. And I had to go to town with a parcel looking like, I don't know, Einstein or something.
I think you should have left it.
So well, I just went with my hair like that and lived with it. And of course, then you bump into everybody you know, don't you? When you look like a sack of crap.
Yeah.
So I went to see Pat.
Oh, is she open?
In the market, yeah.
I love it.
So
Absolutely love
it. Starcraft Bambino prints, double knitting. I think it's about £3.50 a ball. This colourway is called Skittles. It's got a grey, mustardy yellow and a slightly off-white creamy colour.
Yeah.
I looked at, they have a mellow yellow in this, and it's virtually the same yarn as Bellissima.
Right.
Prints, and some of the plain colours are slightly softer.
Right.
The Bellissima colours, but I liked the mellow yellow in the Bellissima. So I've got that to go with these two to make something.
Do you know what yet?
Probably a baby something.
Right, okay.
But I quite like the yellow and the grey and whatnot for maybe a top for myself for summer. It's whether with it being acrylic, it'll be cool enough. I do prefer to have, this is dropped bell.
Right.
Because it's linen and cotton and whatnot. I mean, it's just that bit cooler. And the pinky top I had on the other day it's Debbie Bliss, begins with P, Paloma or something like that, but it's cotton and silk, so it's got a beautiful sheen and it's lovely and cool. And that was sort of a plain version of this, but it's got a thick garter band down the centre of the front.
Nice.
Down the sides and split sides, and all the edgings with her Yutta's patterns are knitted as you go, so there's never any picking up stitches or anything like that. It's, you know, you are good to go.
Yeah.
Once you hit the hem. So do you want to see the pattern that I absolutely accidentally bought it today?
These things happen. You can't be held responsible.
Well, I think it's one of those Ravelry auto cart things. It's called Hot in the City. So how can we not love that? increase the font size so that you can see that a little bit better, and we'll have a look at a 40. So I quite like that detailing on the back.
Yeah, I love that.
There's the option for waist shaping or not, or you can go to airline, and it's got a similar detail on the hip at the side, and then a split hem with some nice ribbing details.
Like a twisted rib?
Sorry?
Is it like a twisted rib or something?
It looks like it. Looks like twisted rib at the bottom and the sides. And then there's a nice sort of V-neck, very similar way to what she's done with this one that I'm wearing. And then of course all the borders for the armholes are all knitted in with one. It's just so easy. You just have to follow the instructions and kind of run with it.
And it'll be there.
And there's quite a few projects already. I'm loving that pistachio coloured one.
Mm. Yeah, that's nice.
That. Now there was a lady down there. Oh, it was a lady with a larger bosom, a bit more ampler lady than me.
Yeah.
And a nice slim waist and lovely tiny hips and lovely slim arms. You can go off people, can't you? But again, very flattering because of the V-neck.
Yeah, it's lovely. I like it.
But, and she's chosen a beautiful teal there. And I thought on this lady it was quite nice as well. So it just goes to show that those of us with the curvilicious bits are fine. And the armholes aren't too tight or anything either for those of us with the, you know, muscular arms. And
I think some of us are a little bit more curvilicious than before we went into lockdown.
Absolutely. You've got to show you a blue one.
Got to have the blue and the grey. I'm sure I spotted a grey.
And that photograph shows off quite nicely.
Oh, it shows the side lovely, doesn't it, that one?
Yeah, so you can kind of see the ribbing and stuff there. So I think that works very well. And I quite like this one on this lady. I perhaps would have gone a size up on the lower body, or maybe A-lined it for smoother fit. But I think the colour on her is very pretty. And I think it is. And the band on the hat has almost got the same sort of pinky colour. It's really nice job. Beautiful, neat knitting.
Lovely.
And this lady, again, has probably gone a little bit bigger on the size, but I like the way it fits on the shoulders, and it nicely sort of smooths over the lower body. Very smoothing.
Be interesting to know which ones have actually done the shaping and which ones have just gone straight, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this lady's not put anything in, but I think she's done some shaping there.
Yeah.
So anyway, very nice fit. Oh, look, she's had her immunisations. Can you see?
I just spotted that as
BCG, Mark. Well done, you. Good old herd immunity. But I thought this was very, very pretty. Lovely sort of geranium colour. So I couldn't wait to show you that. I quite like that peachy one on that lady there. We've looked at her projects before because she's an autumn. And that looks really nice on her. What's that yarn? Oh, it's Drops Flora in the coral. Oh yeah, that is pretty. And then I'll show you as soon as we're here anyway.
Go for it. Her stuff. Oh yeah, I do recognise her stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very characteristic kind of clothing.
Yeah.
So this is the one that I made in the pink.
Yeah.
And my project actually has a photograph now because I wore it the other day and took a wee selfie.
Ooh, let's have a look.
I'm just trying to find me. I was got as soon as the pattern was released, I kind of got on. There I am.
Yay!
Fabulous. So you see, it's a nice sort of softer pink.
It is, yeah.
All the garter border all comes together. Now, what yarn is it? Debbie Bliss Prima.
Bubble gum.
Bubble gum.
Love that.
I wonder what size I made. I can't remember. 4th size. But I'll have done some additional increases in the lower body. She will probably see. But I quite like that garter band down the front.
I like that.
So back to that one.
So while we're here, can you
Yeah,
talk about the new look, Rav? It's been causing a bit of a stir.
it has caused a little bit of a stir. And I have to say, after about 30 minutes online, the first evening that it changed, I felt physically sick and had to go to bed with a migraine. I felt awful. So this is the one that I'm wearing now. This is called Summerline.
That is beautiful.
I don't think.
So can you still not stay on it for very long? Because I really like it. The only issue I have is it's my biggest bugbear of not using capital letters. So the Ravelry with the lowercase r really, really drives me insane.
Yeah, I occasionally have problems with my keyboard on the first letter of a sentence, but I try and use capitals because it's just shows that you've had some kind of education.
Well, it's the first thing we teach our kids, isn't it? And then everybody seems to think it looks trendy to get rid of capital letters, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, so I'll just show you that's my Summerline laid down. Yeah, so you can see there's quite a bit of hip shaping there.
That looks like a petrol blue kind of colour.
It is. It's the teal or petrol colour of Dropspell.
I like it.
And I wear this a lot, and it is washed softer and softer and softer, and it just always looks good. And I cannot recommend this pattern highly enough. Now, what I've done, and you will be able to see it on here, is because I'm sharing the tab there. If I stop doing that, go back to share screen,
or something, isn't it?
application window, share entire screen. So can you see my entire screen now? Can you see?
Yeah.
Can you see my little face in the top corner above Ravelry, where it's my Google profile, and next to that there's like a little block with the number 2. Can you see?
Yeah.
Right, that is Stylish. It's a Chrome extension, and if you install that, you can change the style sheet of any site you visit to make it darker or lighter, or for your visual problems. I will put the link in the group after the meeting for a style sheet that a lady has made, so that my Ravelry has, do you see I've got the darker bar and everything at the top?
Yeah. And
slightly softer colours. So mine has got curves, whereas these were very boxy, and it's less contrast. So this at the moment isn't making me feel sick. But the first time I went on it, I felt horrendous. And I don't get seasick or anything like that.
It's funny because I do get seasick, but that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, within a very short space of time, I could feel a migraine coming on. And I felt absolutely awful.
I do feel a bit bad for them because they were obviously really excited and they'd worked really hard on it. And then they launch it and everyone goes, ew, put it back.
It is one of those things, though, that perhaps to go for what is the first major change since Ravelry was launched might have been better to come in the new year when we're not in a pandemic and everybody isn't with stress and work and homeschooling and Labradors that won't amuse themselves.
It's just a step too far for some people, I think, wasn't it?
It is, because, and if you've got any kind of visual disturbances, my mum said she couldn't stand looking at it.
Right.
She absolutely hated it. It hurt her eyes. So you can imagine if somebody's got sight problems like glaucoma or macular degeneration, and this is probably the one social media place that they do hang out because it's a safe-ish space. It it's bound to be emotive, isn't it?
I just think that somebody has dropped the ball or whatever, because even as a teacher, one of the first things we were told with the whiteboards, the interactive whiteboards, don't use white slides. We were always told that. Don't use a white background. A lot of people can't read it, dyslexia and, migraines and all the rest of it. We never, ever, ever used a sheer white background, and I'm just surprised that they're surprised by it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. As a web developer, I would never have gone for this look because
Yeah.
there are elements of it that haven't got enough contrast to be readable and accessible for everybody, and for screen readers to be able to identify content and read them out to people. Now, not everybody can see, but there are blind knitters and crocheters who go by feel because they've always done their craft, perhaps before they lost their sight, or just learn after, and have never needed to see it, but they rely on, say, information being read to them by the screen.
Yeah.
And if that's harder to see for any assistive software or for any person with visual disturbances, it's just not clever. And making it accessible for the few makes it much easier for the many to access and interact.
Because if you don't have an issue with the white, then you won't have an issue with whatever they do for people who do have that, basically, isn't it? You know, I'm okay with it, and I can read it and I can work with it and it doesn't upset me. But by the same token, if they had something that other people can use, it still wouldn't upset me. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel sorry for Cassidy and the team.
I do feel sorry for her. I really do.
It is their baby.
Yeah.
And people forget it's a tiny little team. When I first joined Ravelry, it was Cassidy and Jessica. And that was it. As they actually got more staff, people were still donating when I joined to help support the site because the pattern commission income wasn't enough to cover the costs of running the team. And they've been doing this as such a tiny little team for so long. And I wouldn't want them to ever feel that we're not exceptionally grateful for this free and amazing place that we get as a platform for our work.
Yeah. I mean, there is only 5 of them still, isn't there?
Yeah. Did I tell you I was on a Zoom webinar this afternoon?
No.
With the Business Growth Hub. They only cover the Northwest, otherwise I'd have sent you the details to sign up. But it was all about marketing this afternoon. And for all it's something I've done for a long time, it never hurts to just listen because there's always a new trick or a new idea or different suggestions. And one of the questions I asked was about vlog, for want of a better word, because it's not a podcast, because you couldn't just listen to it. Because we go, have a look at this. Isn't that a beautiful colour? Isn't this gorgeous? No, and that doesn't translate to audio only. It doesn't translate to audio only, does it?
Not really, no.
Are we missing a trick? And do we need to re-record some of our content to be less visual and then put that onto iTunes? And he said that depends on your audience and whether they're visual.
All right, okay.
And I thought, yeah, we're crafters, we are all visual, and we do want to see stuff. And we don't mind people talking about it, but it's either then got to be funny or informative or something that keeps us engaged.
I used to listen to the Knit British podcast. She's now called Woolworks. And actually, I did find it quite frustrating because she's talking about all different British wools and things, but it is literally just audio and you can't see what she's talking about. And I did find that really, really difficult. And I've stopped listening. But all she was really informative and I did love it. I just found that was a little bit frustrating, and I would have preferred a visual element to it, to be honest.
I mean, all our videos, I can reformat them and strip out the audio and just put the audio onto iTunes. And that would be, you know, an afternoon of work to do the whole lot and load it all up, and it wouldn't be any trouble. But then I think, does it actually add value for the listener? And I'm not sure it would.
I'm not sure. And also, you could just whack it on iTunes and just listen And if we say, oh, what about this? Would you like the look of this? Then you can literally just look up and look at it and then look away again, can't you? You don't have to be looking at our beautiful faces constantly.
Well, no, or staring and thinking, has she got a pattern bra on? Yes, she has.
As it's beautiful. I love it.
Just thought you'd like a little peeky there.
Well, the little pinky bit that I can see matches your cardi. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it works quite well. I can't remember what, I must ask just Andy, because she knows the make of the bras, and I won't know till I take it off later.
Yeah, we don't want any contortions going on right now.
Well, it's Slimming World's Body Magic sort of active competition week. So I've been doing extra workouts this week. So I've been doing walking or jogging or running while she does stuff on the Jessica Smith does her thing on YouTube, and I'm running round her because it's times me 30 minutes or whatever it is that I'm doing. And sometimes she'll be doing jumping jacks, and I'll stop running to do those because they're really hard. I find them quite challenging. But if I don't do them, I'm never going to get any better. So I'll stop running to kind of fling myself around like this, like a moron, and then start running again. But then I've been doing another workout later in the day, and they've had different ones each day. So on Monday, you were just told to sort of go for a walk or do something. And then Tuesday, there was a 40-minute session, which was either step or just on the floor, type kicking, arm flinging workout. And then yesterday's was tricep dips and push-ups and more floor stuff. And then there's one for tonight. I think they're sort of, you're able to go and see it on the Slimming World site now.
Yeah.
But that one is more sort of like body pump, you know, where you do your aerobics with your hand weights and stuff, or leg weights and whatnot.
Did you work out she say she'd posted something, but you couldn't find it?
Yeah, I couldn't find it at all. And it was hidden in features on the Slimming World website. And it was just a little article about the Body Magic Week. Thinking, why isn't there a kind of a Body Magic thing on the menu? Because they're encouraging us to be active all year. And what's the point of just doing a week challenge if I then have to look for it?
It doesn't encourage anything, does it, really?
Yeah, so now the article's linked from the home page, and it's easier to find it, and all of the workouts are on that one article.
Right.
And the lady doing the exercises is called Loraine.
And she's got 2 hours, though.
She has got 2 hours, and she's very northern, and she drops her H's and all the rest of it. I found it all very relatable.
Brilliant.
But she perhaps needs to be a touch more animated, because she's like, right, I know, let's get excited, let's get on with it. I'm thinking, let's get excited, let's do it.
Maybe she's not used to it yet.
Yeah, I don't think she is, but the actual presentation and the explanations of the exercises and why you're doing this and what modifications, and if you're really knackered and this is your first workout and it's 30 minutes, you can stop at 10 minutes and I'll tell you when it's 10 minutes. I'll tell you when it's 15 minutes and tell you how many minutes fast forward to get to the cool down, because you have to cool down. So everything is really well explained. Get your face off my keyboard. Bloody Labrador. Honestly. She binged me out of Zoom meeting earlier, putting her paw on the keyboard.
Oh, she's just really sad.
I don't know what is up with her. She's been dead clingy all day. I've not been able to
more attention.
I don't know what it is. The other one's in her bed. She's tired, and she'd just like me to go to bed and then poodle down later and feed them and take them somewhere.
Yeah, she's just like, go away and just
then knob off back to bed because like you're in our way.
Yeah, definitely.
But so doors are open and they can go in and out.
It's too cold here. Well, in fact, it's raining again.
I don't know if it's raining or not, to be honest. It's been light rain on and off since about lunchtime, I suppose. There's a few splatters on the front window, so I guess it's raining again. But
the fields where I walk are full of puddles. It's like the winter again. It's ridiculous.
It's just a bearable temperature now. I kind of feel the last few nights I have felt like someone's poured boiling oil on me in bed. I've just been so hot.
Yeah, but you know I like it hot. I don't like this. If it's going to be summer, I want it to be summer.
Yeah, I know. I did sign up for a free 3-month trial of Fitbit Premium.
All right, okay.
Because all the sleep-in sites you used to get for free are now paid. So I thought, well, I'll have that. I think it finishes on the 17th of September, which I won't forget because it's my brother's birthday, and I put it into my calendar the day before to cancel the subscription.
Perfect.
But I'm following along the sleep cleansing routine. So it says I have to start getting ready for bed at 9 o'clock and switch the TV and all devices off. And any devices I have on have got to be on nighttime mode, warm light, and start switching lights off around the house so that it gradually gets darker.
Yeah.
And then I've got to be upstairs and brushing my teeth. It sets an alarm for 9:15.
Okay.
Up there doing that. And then I've got to be in bed and comfortable for past, and then listen to a meditation for 10 minutes.
Right, okay.
I thought, okay, whatevs. I slept for 8.5 hours last night.
Love it.
And I've got the highest sleep score I've had in years.
It definitely works. I always make sure I turn the TV off no later than 8:30 and I read my book. I always read a book before, even if I'm absolutely shattered and I only get half a page read. I think it's just that routine.
I don't read in bed because
I do.
I'm reading fiction. The last thing I read in bed was A Discovery of Witches and the 3 books in that trilogy. And I read them on my Kindle. And I was going to bed and reading, and I just another chapter, another chapter, another chapter, another chapter. And I was up until 1 and 2 in the morning, and I read 3 books over 3 days.
No,
it's not normal, and it's not good for you. And then I got that I was going to bed and I was wanting to read. And my body's gone, well, we read now, we read all night. And all it took was those few nights to get into that destructive habit. So now, no books in the bedroom. I do have a large hardback notebook.
right.
And I use that at the end of the day. There's a pen by the bed. Well, there's a number of pens by the bed because people borrow them and then they don't come back, you know what I mean? And I write down my things to be grateful for today and whatever's popped in my head that I have to do tomorrow. So the top of the page is, this was really great, that was wonderful, I'm so happy about this. And then don't forget to put the bins out because it's recycling day and you need to get this from the shop next time you go, and check the oil on the car or whatever it is, so that it's out of my head, it's on the paper. And I find that works for me.
Oh, that's all right. You need a more boring book. That's what you need. Can you not get an autobiography or something of someone that you really aren't interested in?
I just wouldn't read it. That's the problem. Boring books on the shelf that I've never ever looked at.
Well, you know.
I did battle my way through Stephen Hawking's book. Is it a Brief History of Time?
Yeah.
And I think kind of everybody had a copy in those days because it was like the thing to read, to be seen, to be clever.
Yeah.
Even though he'd explained it for idiots, really.
Well,
it was written for morons. And I have to say, it's the most dry, dull, deadly read I've ever had. And there is something I would quite like to read at the moment, and I don't know if you know of Mike Rowe. He's an American presenter, and he does a show that's sometimes on Discovery Channel, Dirty Jobs. And he'll spend the day with the guys who clean the sewers under New York.
Right.
Looking for alligators, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever filthy job on an oil rig or a dirty job on a gas pipeline in the middle of the such and such desert or whatever it is. It's all of those really horrid jobs that nobody wants to do that he does programs on. And he's done that for years. And he has a Facebook show called Returning the Favour that I really love. And that's basically rewarding do-gooders. So people in a community who run a charity or fundraise or provide a service for free to help those who really need it. And there's hundreds of episodes that are absolutely brilliant. But occasionally you see him with his parents, and his mum's really witty, and he'll read out letters from his mother. And I'll send you the link to one of them, and it's about losing her purse, big blue handbag.
Right, okay.
In Walmart. And
Right.
it's literally one of the funniest things. He reads it out and he is crying with laughter at the way she tells the story and the sarcastic comments about the people that they meet along the way and eventually get the purse back. And then the other night it came up with one of these memory things that it does on Facebook of something I must have shared. And it was him reading an email from his mother about his father,
Right.
who'd had an operation on his more delicate parts.
Okay.
And they'd done an additional operation, and I don't know if it was something to do with the prostate or something else, but they'd removed a sac of fluid or something between the testes while they did this.
Lovely.
And she's describing a few medical issues that occurred afterwards, and the conversation with the neighbour, and then the conversation with the doctor, and then sending a picture to the doctor of said affected, very swollen, nasty-looking parts that are looking like sort of overgrown aubergines, and stuff like. But he's crying with laughter when he tells you this story, and the way that she talks about it, and sort of the throwaway line at the end of "I might never eat eggplant again," and it just is.
Is this, was this intended for broadcast when it was written? It's a bit unfair.
She always says at the end of her emails or messages, feel free to share with your little Facebook friends.
All right, okay, that's all right then.
But she's actually got a book out, and it's Peggy Rowe, and I think it's the stories about my husband and other stories, and it's just anecdotes of where they've been, what's happened to them, and it's the bits I've seen are just hilarious. So I would like to read that, but maybe not at bedtime.
Yeah, don't read that at bedtime. For one, it'll probably keep you awake laughing, and for two, it's going to make you grimace in places, I should imagine.
Possibly. They're kind of at that age.
Yeah.
She's on about waiting for the ambulance, and she said we usually stand at our door watching ambulances pull up and go, "Oh, is that the tall fellow from the Netherlands?" And
okay, fair enough.
That looks like a very overweight person, judging on how high they are on that stretcher. But those are the conversations that people have when there's an ambulance in their street or their community, isn't it?
I suppose.
Goes out and you go, "Oh, it could be so and so."
Oh, what's going on there? Yeah.
Yeah, we had all excitement today. The recycling wagon broke down.
Oh God.
And it had backed into quite a narrow lane in the village.
Right.
On his way back out, and it just completely kaput. So no traffic could get through. We had to go around the village and in through the other end to get to our house.
Rude.
And I think it took them about an hour and a half to get it moved. And then the recycling guys came down the street to get that. And I said, are you okay? "Oh, well, we're from a different team. We've come to help. They've brought us in from Coniston." And I was quite impressed with that because they have a very long round. And you can imagine in a rural area, there's a lot of ground to cover.
Mm.
You're driving between places and one or two stops for odd houses. So I was quite impressed that they got to us by about 1:30.
Cool.
Given what they'd done. But
Yeah.
they were all joking. We didn't get any dancing this week. I was a bit disappointed.
How rude.
It wasn't our usual young lads. It was a bunch of older fellas. So the dancing may not have been the same quality.
Well, it's just out of order. Sorry.
And I suppose we should mention Dame Vera Lynn.
Yeah, I was really, really sad to see that.
She is lovely.
It did make me go and start looking at some 40s inspired patterns, though. I did find a few.
Michelle says lightweights.
Yeah, because we're from the south, Anne and I.
All right, bunch of wimps.
Soft Southerners.
Anne's asking how the knitting on the baby dress is coming along.
Finished. Do you want to see
Well,
it?
yeah, where is it?
It's here.
Whip it out, come on.
Oh, let's whip out my
Honestly,
phone.
I'm told to show off my boobs, and you haven't even got your baby
I
dress.
know. I whip out my phone. Right, here we go.
Oh, isn't that adorable?
And there's the back. It's even got buttons on. How gorgeous is
they're
that?
pretty.
Yeah. So that is one finished baby dress. Beautiful.
I like the asymmetry of the button band on the back.
Yeah,
as well.
I like that. The off-center bit. Yeah, it's really nice. So that one's done. And I also put a button on my cardigan. So the dress is in pink, this is in grey, so she could probably wear these together. But I'm not sure if I like the button like that. I might whip the band back out and actually put the buttonhole in the band.
I think that would be better. Or you could put a little crochet loop.
Yeah, I might do something with it because it doesn't look quite right. But I mean, the button's all right on there. I've got the button on the band there. That's okay.
Yeah.
You can see that.
Yeah, it's really cute.
So yeah, just a little cardie. And it's made me a little bit inspired because I've got a skirt that I did for Caitlin, like a skater style skirt. So I've started something along the lines for the baby. It's going to be like a really huge skirt that's kind of pleated and come into a waist. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do it as a skirt or like a pinafore style dress that you can put.
Are you going to box the pleats?
I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with it yet, because with the skirt that I did for Caitlin, I literally just decreased them. So it's blocks of stocking stitch with blocks of pearls. So I don't know. I'll just see how the mood takes me. I'm just
I did a little baby top years ago with some pleats at the front.
Yeah.
Front, and I box pleats though, so I had extra stitches at the bottom and didn't decrease them.
Right.
Get to the top, you kind of fold the knitting over and then knit the two layers together.
Right, yeah.
3 layers. There's that,
yeah,
and then to make the box pleat. And you're having to do that both ways.
Yeah.
But that works really well.
Sounds nice. Yeah, I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do yet. I'm just playing around at the moment.
And what yarn are you using for that?
More of the paint box.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like I should pick up my knitting.
Come on. Is that Edie?
This is Edie.
And I've got a glass of wine, yes. Naughty me.
I've got tea. So I am about 11.5 inches into the body now.
How long are you going to do it?
Probably 16 and a half.
So still a way to go then.
Yeah. But that is ball number 2.
And how many have you got?
12.
Oh, so that's all right then. You got loads.
I've got plenty. It was £1.49 a ball.
Bargain.
The bamboo cotton. So I got 12 of that. I think 6 of the birdie green, that colour.
Yeah.
And there's a plum. I only got 4 of that because I wasn't really sure what I'd do with that. I'll probably use it with something else for a shawl or maybe a hat and a cowl or something.
I tell you, I did see something that made me think of you today, actually. Hang on.
Was it a pit bull?
Hmm?
Was it a pit bull?
No, it wasn't a pit bull, naughty lady. It was... Right, hang on. Let me share my screen. Share screen. Tab. That one. Can you see that?
Oh, that's cute.
I wonder why it made me think of you.
I think that's because I always look like sex on a stick when I'm wearing a hat.
Exactly, and that is definitely your style hat.
Absolutely. In fact, I have my Lady Mary hat within reach.
You need to, hang on, let me stop. You need to wear your hat more often.
Lady Mary. Here we go. So this is from Yarndale last year.
That is just lovely. It goes with your top.
Doesn't it? That sort of navy teal thing.
Yeah, beautiful. You should wear it all the time, like all the time.
Well, with long gloves and
Yeah,
a gown
definitely.
to Aldi.
Yeah, yeah, too right. It's beautiful.
Oh, and saying well done and how lovely it is. Rita says it's pretty. Nice to see you, Rita. How are you doing today? Excuse me, coughing.
So we have some news. You know, you sent me a text message and said Queen with Adam Lambert on Netflix. So whilst I was sewing on my buttons this morning and it was miserable, I'd been for a run with Anne and Michelle and Elaine and I'd had my shower and I was just sitting there and I was like, right, let's put it on. Don't like Adam Lambert, but it's fine, I'll put it on.
Excuse me.
I stuck it on. Oh my God, within 2 seconds I was crying. I mean, whoever devised that programme with flipping Freddie singing Love of My Life with an empty flipping band set at the beginning. Yeah, thanks, mate.
Well, yeah.
I did really enjoy it. And I think I was very much like the whole John Deacon. Like, no, there's no Freddie. It's not the same. It's not Queen. What are these idiots doing? They're clinging on. They're old. They need to just give it up now. Move on. But actually, after having watched that, I was really impressed with Adam Lambert. I love the fact that he was like, I'm not Freddie. I'm not trying to be Freddie. He's not trying to be anything like him. And he wasn't trying to ignore the fact that Freddie was the best sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? That they were still talking about him, still including him, weren't trying to erase history. And actually, right, hold the front page. I would like to go and see them.
Well, there you are. I thought you'd like it because
Really good.
I don't really know anything about Adam Lambert other than you telling me I'd never even heard of the guy. So there you are. But you telling me when I was watching the Bohemian Rhapsody movie that he's the one who sort of eyes him up and almost positions him in the film.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I don't know what that's about because he just looks like a bit of a beardy chubbo in that. And thought, well, okay, whatevs.
Yeah.
But I've never really watched any of the Idol shows or anything like that. I maybe see the odd thing that Jake says, oh, isn't this person amazing? Or watch this, it's awful.
Yeah.
And I occasionally see things like that, but I'd never really heard of him.
I have.
And actually his second single, the one after all the scandal stuff, I thought was beautiful.
It was lovely, wasn't it? I actually, when I watched that programme this morning,
too good looking to just be available to men. Just saying.
He should share, men and women, you know.
Yeah.
Why are you excluding yourself to 50%? But actually 51%, isn't it? Yeah. I did actually watch him in American Idol because when I was in Saudi, they had a lot of American TV on, and we used to watch it every week. And he was my favourite in that season. I absolutely loved him, but I think it was the whole "he's not Freddie" thing that kind of turned me off him, and I wasn't watching it. I wouldn't give him a chance. I was very John Deacon, I will admit it.
I think with the where they showed the clip of him doing that Led Zeppelin song.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
He was brilliant.
How you follow that? And I think his vocal range is incredible.
Yeah.
And he's trying to honour it. They're obviously great friends. They obviously have a great deal of affection for him. They love working with him. It's their band. And I just think if they've given him the seal of approval, why shouldn't I?
Yeah.
So I thought it was worth mentioning, even if he came back to me and said, no, still hate it. I thought this might change your mind.
You've got to give it a chance, haven't you? But at the end of the day, they weren't done. They were at the top when Freddie went. And so for them, it's probably unfinished business, isn't it? What really surprises me is that they've never tried to release anything new, which, considering Freddie wasn't the only one that wrote, I mean, most of their ones, Who Wants to Live Forever, that was a Brian May song. You know, We Will Rock You, and another one, Bites the Dust. They're John Deacon.
Well, look at all those lovely films Deaky did. I mean, just films, songs that Deaky did.
He had their biggest hit. He wrote their biggest hit. You know, and even Roger Taylor did quite a few good ones. So I was really surprised that they have never done anything new.
Yeah, no, nobody's going to sit in the car and headbang to that rubbish.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, Brian May tried to go off and do a solo career afterwards, and does anybody know any of his solo songs?
Well, actually, the only thing of his that I've heard was there was some protest about badger culling.
Right, okay.
And it must be in the village where he and Anita Dobson live, because he's part of this group to save the badgers.
Yeah.
And they had this single that they've released to raise money to fund a vaccine that the badgers could be vaccinated.
Right.
And it's quite some years ago. And they played this song.
Right.
With this like chorus of badger, 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 badger. And I'm thinking, oh, do you know, doesn't that sound like Queen? What a rip-off. And then I'm looking thinking, hang on, that's Brian May. What's going on? And he'd done this song for this, you know, stopping the badger culling. And I thought, oh, okay, well, that's the only solo thing that you've done that I've actually heard, and that's because they were joking about it on the news. Or maybe it was on Have I Got News for You? It might not have even been the news.
Oh, gosh.
Ian Hislop perhaps ripping it.
Yeah, probably. I think he's just gone a bit doolally in some ways. I mean, you will know he did the advert for Ford, didn't he? Everything we do, that one is driven by you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Brian May. But as far as I remember, he actually wrote it for them before the whole Freddie passing thing.
Right, okay.
So
I mean, after watching that last night, it made me think that I'm going to watch Bohemian Rhapsody again this week. Just immerse myself in a bit more of the music. But I am going to make an effort to listen to more of Adam Lambert, because I hadn't realised what a diverse voice he's got.
It came out this year, just before lockdown, because I remember seeing him on Loraine when I was getting ready to go to work one morning.
Oh, okay.
So,
every day. So, are you enjoying my hat, ladies?
Yeah.
Michelle says I do suit a hat. Rita says she's fine. Lovely. Glad you're okay. Are you crocheting at the moment? Has anybody got a whip in hand?
On the subject of crochet, I weighed the cotton.
Oh, the blue cotton. Yeah. And how many balls is that?
Well, okay, so I thought I better double check, because some of the white was wound as well. It wasn't in balls. Okay, so hang on. I'm just knocking everything over now. Right, so in the white we have 244 grams, which is 5 balls ish. There's obviously a little bit out because I had that mandala crocheted.
And you could unwind that and leave it a couple of weeks, and that would then be ready to use again
if I was desperate. The blue, 248 grams, so also 5 balls. So I have pretty much the same amount of each.
Oh, you can make your lemonade top then.
The lemonade top wanted 850 meters. I have 840 meters, but it's very long.
Yes.
So therefore, I think it might be a goer.
Excellent.
However, I am really pants at crochet, so I was thinking it might have to be like a crochet along, and I might have to start it and you might have to like help me as I get stuck.
Am I going to receive it in the post one
No,
day
I'm just going to sit here
with
and
love hearts and things like that?
I'm going to be sitting here going, what am I doing wrong? And you're going to have to try and teach me over video link.
Well, maybe we'll have to do some tutorial videos. I suppose we could do a summer top make along.
Yeah, everybody make lemonade top and tell me how to do it, and then I'll be able to do it. It's fine. I don't see the problem with that.
I think that's perfectly fair.
Yeah. Do you want to see?
I did debate about Christmas in July.
It's a bit late for me. I need at least 3 months to get organised. Would you like to see some?
Even if we got some gift knitting out of the way in July, we could do some selfish knitting during the gift along.
Oh yeah. See?
That was my logic. What does anybody else think?
You got the old cogs going now. But we could make it Christmas in July and August. Because I'll need more than just, a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So we could do some planning now.
We could. Plan and prep.
Yeah. So if anyone's got any ideas.
Something smells good.
What's he cooking?
Somebody's microwaving something. Is that your wandering dragon? Oh, okay. Leftovers. We had a takeaway last night for Jake's birthday. I had salt and chili chicken and fried rice. Don't tell the slimming world lady. And curry sauce. And I might have had a pineapple fritter from the pack of 4 that Jake ordered and drizzled with syrup. He had salt and chili chicken with curry sauce, and he ordered an extra portion of wandering dragon, which apparently is sort of mixed meat in a special sauce. So he's got that for his tea tomorrow night, and he's having leftovers of last night's meal for this evening.
Do you have to be starving hungry talking about things that I can't eat?
Can we see the plate, Jake? This is going to drive Emma absolutely bananas. So.
It's not bad. Is that like spare ribs or something?
There's some sausages. There's some of the salt and chili chicken and the special fried rice, egg fried rice, and curry sauce.
Not talking to you.
It smells really good.
Definitely not talking to you.
Who's gone with it now? It'll all soon be gone.
It's
got some heck simply chicken sausages.
Oh, I can eat those.
They're really nice.
Yeah.
They were on offer half price in Tesco.
Yeah, because they're normally quite expensive, aren't they? I don't buy them.
I only ever buy them on offer. Such a tight one. What else did I do? I made some what we call bottom of the fridge muffins. So you line a muffin case with ham and then do a mixture of whatever cooked vegetables or vegetables from the bottom of the fridge that need using. So we had courgettes, which I grated. There was some onion, some peppers that I sliced and then sauteed with a bit of garlic, some ginger, plenty of seasoning, and then put that into the ham-lined muffin cases and then poured over egg and a little blob of cheese for the top. And then baked those in the oven.
Sounds yummy.
And I had some leftover mixture, which I made into a crustless quiche in a cake tin with a greaseproof paper liner.
Yummy.
And I had some other vegetables that I didn't want to go into the sort of quiche or the bottom of the fridge muffins. So I made those into a frittata with some leftover potato and some more eggs. So I've had frittata yesterday and today. Totally pigged myself on it tonight. But it was all on plan, and it says you can eat them in unlimited quantities. So I just ate till I couldn't move.
Oh, fine.
There was lots of speed food in there. There was broccoli and things like that, and green beans. And
I like broccoli.
I love broccoli.
All my veg is starting to sprout now, you know.
Oh, excellent. Right, I am going to have to leave you momentarily, just to explain. Jake was in the bath, having been out fishing all day and having come home sort of cold and wet, which meant, of course, we only have one bathroom. So I didn't get my pre-life pee. So
You can't leave me on my own. I've got nothing to talk
excuse me a
about.
moment. Emma and Mocha are in charge.
I'm not in
Sorry,
charge.
Coco's here. So chat to her
No,
momentarily.
don't leave me.
I promise.
Ah, that's not good. All right, okay. Let me share some pictures. Hang on, let me go. Okay, so I was looking for some 1940s inspired stuff because of Dame Vera Lynn passing, and I came across some of these gorgeous beauties. I especially love this Christmas jumper, the perfect Christmas jumper, apparently. How cool is that? I think I might have to give that a go for Christmas this year. It's gorgeous. Which other ones did I like? Oh no, that's my lemonade top. I'm gonna make that. This hat, how beautiful is that? I do like a tam. I wouldn't wear it kind of on the side though. I'd wear it more with the front band backwards a bit. Yeah, I do like that one. Cornflower blue. Beautiful, beautiful colours for me, that one. There's Lorraine's cap. Oh, and look, there's my cardigan that I bought this week. Oh, now this one, how gorgeous is this? I think I'd look beautiful in that. How much knitting is involved in that, though? Are you back? I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Hello.
Can you see this dress? Look at this. I can't even see if you're there.
I'm here now. I've just got back.
Can you see this dress?
Wow.
That was when I heard about Dame Vera Lynn, and it was making me think all 1940s, and I just sort of like did a little bit of a search. That came up. I mean, how gorgeous.
That's stunning.
Although I don't actually think it's technically a dress. I think technically it's a top and bottom, even though it says it's a dress. Flared peplum.
Two-piece gown. So yeah, it's a top and a skirt, isn't it?
But honestly, if only I had the time, I would love to make that.
Oh, and it's in sport weight, 21 stitches, so on a par with knitting with DK, really.
I just think how gorgeous would that be to give it a go. But
Right,
yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to see something that my daughter did? It's not knitting, it's drawing. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
She's obviously been doodling. There's all these things laying around. Look at this.
Kind of a manga thing going on, haven't they?
Hang on.
Oh, yeah.
She's just put them on the wall. I mean, this one reminds me of David Bowie.
Oh, yeah.
She's a good little drawer, my daughter. I said she should do her own animes.
So did Emma panic, or did she just manage to waffle through? Because she always tells me that it's awful when I leave her, but I honestly think she copes just fine.
Oh, I cried.
Yeah, whatever. I could hear you from the bathroom. I had the door open.
You were laughing. I'm surprised we didn't hear you tinkling.
Well, it's amazing that you didn't hear the dogs, because they ran upstairs, because obviously I'm not allowed to pee on my own.
No.
And they stand in the doorway of the bathroom so that you can't shut the door. So you sort of sat either singing or talking loudly so that nobody else comes out onto the landing, or doing a big cough to let everybody know you're there, or occasionally I'll turn the taps on just a sort of a I'm in the bathroom signal.
Can I just
I
say,
could do like a Batman light or something like that.
I never, ever, ever shut my bathroom door, whether I'm going to the toilet, having a shower, having a bath, whatever.
I don't for me, but if
No.
I've got people in the house,
Yeah,
I
if
will
I've got
then.
visitors.
But generally speaking, no, I don't. And my mum doesn't either.
No.
Now, which is more problematic where they live because they're on the ground floor. And she will often be sat on the toilet with the door open at the front.
Comes to the front door.
Just shut the door to you.
Yeah. I have actually been in the shower because I use I've got an ensuite, but I use the shower in the main bathroom because it's a better shower. I've been in there washing my hair and I've heard a voice and I've called one of the kids and gone, what have I just heard? And Caitlin's like, oh yeah, Callum's got his friend round. I'm like, well, shut the bloody door. Yeah, it's a bit embarrassing for them.
It's worse when you're in the shower and someone comes in and does a big horse pee while you're in the shower and you think, don't flush, don't flush, don't flush.
Well, to be honest, for me, unfortunately, I mean, we've got the downstairs loo, the ensuite, and then the main bathroom. And you'll be in the shower washing your hair, and the one in the main bathroom is just sort of like on the tap rather than a power shower. But you'll be in there, and suddenly it'll go boiling, and you shout, "Who's flushed their bloody toilet?" And it's usually Callum.
The joys of living with other people.
But I think it's a mum thing, isn't it? You get used to having the door open when the kids are little, don't you? And you just carry on.
Yeah, well, yeah, you never get to do anything on your own.
I think
that's why Mum Island will be so popular.
I think
to pee with the door shut without an audience.
I think it'd be strange.
Quite a treat.
I mean, I don't even shut my bedroom door when I'm getting changed or anything. At the end of the day, it's my bedroom, and if I want to be naked in it, they don't have to come in. That's my opinion.
No, I'll wander around in my nudies, and Jake knows that he needs to knock.
Yeah.
And I'll cover something up. But
yep.
Unless I've already sort of been asleep, in which case I will be covered because of the under the bed monsters.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, if I'm naked, then that's one thing. The one thing I will not do now is start to get undressed if the kids are in the bedroom. Like if I want to get changed, I will tell them to leave because I just think there's something a bit weird about suddenly stripping off in front of them. But if I'm already naked, I'm already naked. I don't suddenly go, oh, quick, I'm going to cover up. I just think it's a bit weird to suddenly go, oh yeah, let's take my top off, and that to me is a bit strange. Yeah. Now that they're older anyway. When they were little, you just got on with it, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably as much interaction as Jake and I have had today. Apart from this morning when I went to town and the card place was open in the market hall. So I got Father's Day cards for my dad, for Mike, you know, it's like a stepdad kind of card, and a card for Jake's father.
Yeah.
I brought them home and just went, put your moniker on all of those. Right, well, I'm going fishing shortly. And yeah, well, get them signed. Well, you know Dad's address and you know all the others. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I'll be paying for the cards and the stamps and running up in the rain to the post office or to the post office. So,
it's a bit unfair.
Yeah, I just thought to myself, it's another 600 steps or whatever it'll do.
Yeah. I sent my dad one today. Phil, he doesn't get one because he's miles away and God knows if it'll ever get to him anyway, so we don't bother anymore. And then my father-in-law passed, so it's just my dad. I sent him a gift of like Budweiser in a glass or whatever. He loves his Budweiser, my dad. I think it tastes like pee, to be honest. It's a bit weak and insipid, but
I can't drink lager anyway. It gives me a really bad headache.
I can't drink it anymore, but when I did drink beer, it was Stella. I loved a Stella.
No, when I was running a few years ago, when Mike had his midlife crisis and had to do a half marathon and a parachute jump and buy 2 Porsches.
Yeah.
But you know, there was nothing going on. It wasn't a life crisis. This was just apparently what every bloke does.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were having, I was having to go running because he was going running, and then he was running past me, around me, behind me, ahead of me,
Yeah.
not fast enough, and doing all of this crap. And we went to the pub one night. This is when the Derby was open in the village. This closed about 18 months ago, whatever it was. We went there, we had a pint of lager each, and we're coming home, and he's, should we go to the other pub and get some wine? I said, well, we can if you want to. But I'm thinking there's like 6 bottles in the fridge and they were £3.50 each. And I don't want to pay £6 for a glass of wine I don't like.
Yeah.
So I'm all for going home. And he's, oh, I'll tell you what, you're faster than me this time of night. You've got the key. You run home and get me wallet in the bedroom and I'll walk to the pub. And I started running. And you know, I couldn't build up any speed at all. And I got about 200 yards and I thought I might be sick. And it was as if I'd suddenly ran past some kryptonite or something. Like all the energy was sapped out of my body. And it's only happened to me when I've drank lager or beer.
Yeah, it'll be the gluten.
And it must be that because we went out again a few weeks later, and this time we went to the other pub and we had wine. And then he was, oh, the usual thing of, oh, should we? Oh, no, well, let's just go home and drink at home. And then he said, I'll race you. And I beat him home.
Because you'd been on wine, not lager. Yeah, it's the gluten. I can't drink it. And I've not tried the gluten-free because, to be honest, if it's anything like the bread, I'd rather just have the memory of the nice lager. I don't know what it was. It's a summer's day, summer's afternoon, boiling hot, sun's out, just wanted a lager.
Yeah, I'd like a lager shandy. More lemonade, really, with a dash of lager in it.
I do have actually a glass of lemonade as well. I do like lemonade.
I don't think I made a drink. I've got a third of a cup of cold tea.
You are so woefully unprepared tonight. What is going on?
Well, I am wearing something I knitted though, so you know.
True, that is true.
Points for that.
Do you want to hear the saga of what's going on with my neighbour and the fence?
Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, so you know this fence is falling down.
Yeah, I've seen photographs of said knackered fence. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had some guy round, a builder. I actually wanted gabions, you know, like the big cages with the bricks in, and you can put plants in. Yeah. Anyway, he's like, oh, it's really expensive. So basically, he's given me a quote. So because my garden slopes down,
yeah,
and I think her garden must stay at the same level. So her garden is higher than mine when you go down towards the end of the garden. And her garden is falling down, subsiding into my garden, which is half of the reason why my fence is half fallen over.
Right, it's actually up to them to provide a wall, a retaining wall. That's their responsibility.
Well, I saw her in her back garden yesterday. She's only a little old lady. I reckon she's sort of like late 70s. And I shouted across the fence to her and I was saying I had this guy round and the quote is going to be around £6,000 to put it all right, retaining wall, new fencing and all the rest of it. And I said, I just can't afford it. I've lost my job because of all the pandemic and everything. Unless you feel you could help with the cost. No, not really, because it's not my problem, is what came back. And I said, well, it's my fence, but it's a shared boundary. So, yeah, it is your problem. No, it's not. I've had a man
to retain her land and
yeah
stop it collapsing on yours. And the reason that I know this is Mike has a parcel of land and the guy in the bungalow next to it has tried to prevent him from getting planning on that land, and eventually the planning went through. Once the planning went through, we then got a solicitor round, and this guy's retaining wall is cracking.
Right, okay.
And it's falling on Mike's property.
Okay.
So to get enforcement to come out and make him sort out the retaining wall on that property. But it's Mike's boundary.
Yeah.
But it's that man's property and his retaining wall, and he has no right to let his land fall onto Mike's land.
Well, this is what I thought. So I've been on the phone to the solicitor this morning because they still have our deeds from when the house went through. It must be about 14 years since we bought this house. So anyway, I spoke to the woman on reception, and she went and had a look, and she rang me back, and she said, "Look, I've got your deeds out." She said there is no T anywhere on any of the boundaries on the deeds, and the T is the one that says that you are responsible for that boundary, isn't it? She said, but you know, you fill in a questionnaire when you're selling a property, don't you? The person selling it had filled in to say that they maintained that boundary. But she's saying, because she's only like an assistant or whatever, she's saying you're going to have to wait until the solicitor comes in on Monday, and she'll give you proper legal advice, basically. And I was telling her, but I'm of the same opinion as you, that because it's her land that's causing the problem, that it is her problem. You know, at the end of the day, if she'd turned around to me and said, "I'm really sorry, I'm just on a little pension, I'm barely making ends meet, I would love to help out with the cost, but I really can't afford it," then that would have been fine. But it was the whole "it's not my problem" attitude, do you know?
Yeah, it's pig ignorant. And the thing is, it's her responsibility to make sure that her property does not encroach on any other property. And if it's causing damage to the fence and the garden, then that's up to them to rectify that. Now, whether that means that they're only responsible for the retaining wall for the length that's important, then that's fine. And you could then just put up the existing fence panels with different posts and a bit of concrete.
It's not a problem. But at the end of the day, the other thing that I've looked is that I believe there is no law that states that you have to actually demarcate your boundary. So if I wanted to, I could take that fence down and just leave it down. I don't need to have a fence up there.
Oh, I think I'd do that just to annoy her.
Well, if it wasn't for the dog, I would. Because I know that he could get into her garden and that he couldn't.
I'd be tempted, you know. I mean, there's a lot of it on this street where it's former council properties or still housing association in this particular case. They use that awful chain link with concrete posts. I'd be tempted to put that in because it's as cheap as chips, and people hate it.
Well,
and I would put that in and say, well, that's the boundary.
She actually had lilac bushes in, apparently, as a hedge, and when the builders got this house, they went round and asked her and said, "Can we remove the hedge and put a fence up?" And she agreed to it, and she let them. And that's causing the problem, isn't it? Because obviously the roots will have retained the soil, and when you've taken the roots out, there's nothing holding the land there, and so it's falling down. So I've actually said to Phil, "Why don't we just put a hedge up?" I said, "I'm quite happy to put little hedges up and wait for it to grow, because I don't want to sell the house for another 4 years. Wait another 4 years, the hedge will be at a decent height, and I'm quite happy to do that."
Are you not tempted to put lor-artemis in?
To do what?
Lor-artemis.
What's that?
It's an evergreen, and it grows like topsy, and they can get to like 30 feet tall.
Like a conifer type thing.
Yeah. But they are an amazing head.
We did talk about it because the plan is to sell the house in around 4 years. So in 4 years' time, if you put conifers in, there'll be a decent size hedge, but they won't be too big and out of control. And so it won't be our problem to keep them contained by then. So Phil and I did talk about it on the phone. Anyway, he's got his brother, his mate's going to come around and give us a quote for basically take the fence down, put a couple of new posts in, put it back up again, and then sort the ground out, and I'll plant some hedges next to the fence, and if need be, then I can take the fence down. I think that's what we're going to plan to do. But she doesn't want anything to do with it. Well, she doesn't get a choice in what goes up. I'm sorry.
No.
And when the solicitor rings on Monday, if she says definitely that, this woman's got to do something about it. I will be going and knocking on her door and telling her. Because
Yeah.
also we've got a massive, great big sycamore tree right on the boundary. And she keeps saying, well, I don't know whose tree it is. And I keep saying, it's your tree. When I moved in, there was a bit of fence that went round the tree to fence it sort of like into your garden. And the builder said that the fence comes into our garden, but literally the boundary should be through the tree, but it's her tree. So these put the fence round it. And I've said to it, it's too big. So I said, I want it either cutting down completely or at least pruning back. I said, because it's completely blocking out all my light. And my poor hydrangea isn't getting enough light. And it needs light. So she's going to be funny about the boundary. I'm going to be funny about that tree. And I want it down.
Well, and if it's encroaching on the boundary, she could be forced to remove it by planning.
Yeah. So anyway, she started it with the whole, it's not my problem. Well, I'm going to make it your problem, love.
Isn't she sweet?
It's only because I've had a glass of wine. Without the glass of wine, I'm like, okay.
Oh.
But yeah, I just think there's no need for it, honestly.
No.
There is literally no need. If she'd said, I'm really sorry, I can't afford to, I can't help out, fine. We'd just take it on the chin and we'll do it.
Well, no, I think if it was a considerable expense, what I'd have done is got the solicitor to do what's called a lien, Lien.
Yeah.
Means that when her property is sold, that money has to be repaid to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can't be sold without that being repaid. It would be taken out of the sale proceeds before it goes to anybody else.
Yeah.
That would be the way that the council would handle it, for example.
Right. Okay. So we could do that.
That would be the thing to do.
I think she is wanting to sell because before lockdown, she came and put a note through my door and said, when you've got 5 minutes, can you pop round? And I was still working at that point. So I went round after work one evening and she was asking about the fence and she was asking about the tree. Was it our tree or her tree? Now, I've been there 14 years and she's never asked anything before. And she was talking about trying to get hold of her deeds and stuff. So I am suspicious that she's thinking about selling up.
Yeah, and she wants you to fund the improvements.
Yeah, because she won't be able to sell it the way it is. Honestly, it is almost on the floor. It looks awful. And I am embarrassed by it and I do want it sorting, but I can't afford £6,000.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it just? But it was 3,000, I think it was 3,700 just for the work on, because obviously you'd have to hire a digger out, dig it all out, put the retaining wall in and everything. And then on top of that, he wanted to put in like new fence. Well, I'm sorry, but I think that the fence that's there would be fine. You need new posts, but I don't care about putting the old one back up. I don't want it looking pristine. He obviously, for his own pride, for his flipping catalogue photos or whatever, and charge you twice for the wood and all the rest of it, wants new wood up there. But yeah, I just think it's too much money. I can't afford it. But ho-hum, eh?
I think the timber for mine was about £400.
Yeah.
And had I paid for the labour as opposed to being the girlfriend of the gentleman who installed it,
helps.
A love job,
Yeah.
It would have been about 1,100.
Yeah.
But my fence is the uprights are 6 foot.
Yeah.
And it's double. It's both sides with no gaps.
Right.
So the planks there, sort of like that.
Nice.
With like a crossover. So it's all angled and there's no gaps on either side, apart from where a couple of bits of timber have shrunk a bit more than others. And I just need to put some screws in rather than the galvanised nails that are in at the moment. Just need to screw them down and they'll be fine. Tiny little gaps, but it's both sides.
Yeah.
I wanted that so that, because you usually have the pretty side facing you,
Yeah,
and the side with the railings facing the other property, and I didn't want them on the outside because my neighbours' kids would be forever climbing over into my property, and I was sick to death of them going over the 3-foot fence.
Yeah.
And stuff forever disappearing. Since I've had the 6-foot fence, no problem at all, because they can't climb up it.
Strange that, isn't
I
it?
go into someone else's garden and climb over a 5-foot wall.
Yeah.
So unless you brought ladders with you, it's actually quite difficult to get in now.
Yeah, you can't
I'm glad I did it. I just wish I could have the same at the front. But you can't go above 3 foot at the front.
Oh, it's a bit disappointing, isn't it?
I think that's the same with planning everywhere.
Right. Phil said the only thing is that he's worried that there's a law against planting fences close to somebody's house or something. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think you would have to provide them reasonable access for maintenance. But even then, some people refuse to, and people have to take them to court to get access. So it's one thing to say, yes, you have to, but not everybody's nice about it.
I've never had an issue with my neighbours before. Oh, do you know what happened this morning? I've got to tell you this story. I was out for a run, like I said, with Anne, Elaine and Michelle. And we spend the entire run sort of like natter, and looking at everyone's gardens, looking at everybody's front doors and say, oh, I like their windows and blah, blah, blah. And Elaine and I are a little bit faster than Michelle and Anne. So we sort of like run on and then come back, and then run on and then come back. And we'd run on a little bit, come across this house. And it was a bit untidy, but they had this gorgeous peony in the front garden, right?
Oh, wow, lovely.
Oh, peonies are my favourite flower. Absolutely love them. And I leant over the fence. Well, it's like a little wall, sort of like knee-high wall. I leant over and I was looking, and there was some seed pods. So I was so naughty. I grabbed and I was trying to twist this seed pod off, and it wouldn't come. And I yanked, and this massive, great big green bit came off with it. So I just sort of like ran across the road and pulled the seed pod off and threw the green bit in the hedge. And the door opened to this house. And I was like, oh my God, quick, run. And Elaine and I just like went woof down the end of the road. And then Anne and Michelle come running back behind us. And apparently somebody did come out of the house to see what was going on.
See, rather than do that, I'd have knocked on the door and said, do you mind if I take a seed pod?
I know.
And then had a conversation about how to look after it and how best to protect them. And then probably gone off with a cutting.
But I was mid-run. I didn't want to stop and have a conversation. I just wanted to grab a pod and run.
So thief.
I am so naughty. So naughty.
And putting stuff in a hedge.
Hmm?
Putting stuff in a hedge.
I know, I am terrible. But, you know.
I thought there was going to be a big argument in town. I got to the post office before it opened. And it seems to open in about half an hour. And there's a bench outside, so I plonked myself on it. And then one of my friends that I know was wandering past, so we're nattering away. And then people start queuing, and I said, well, I'm first. I've been here since 1:30. All right, this fella says, well, I'll stand here and start the queue. And then when they're ready to open, you nip in front of me. I said, yeah, grand. No bother.
Yeah.
And then Helen Madden, our PCSO, he was absolutely wonderful, wanders across. So she and I are nattering away. And then this fella arrives on a motorbike. Now, this is a beautifully paved area in front of the post office and the historic Coronation Hall. The statue of Stan and Ollie and the little dog.
Okay.
Now, a tourist attraction. Any time of the year, you'll see people lined up to be photographed next to Stan and Ollie.
Yeah.
So it's really, really pretty. There's a few disabled parking spaces, but he's not got a blue badge or anything else on his motorbike. And he parks on the flaming paved area and then gets out and starts sorting out his gear and goes into the queue. And Helen said, hang on a minute. And I thought, I know what's coming next. So she said, right, young man, she said, I'll hold your place in the queue while you park in the car park. She said, that's not an appropriate place to park. Have you got a blue badge? Well, no. And anyway, the post office will be opening in 2 minutes. And she said it's got at least 20 minutes before it does open. And I'm not prepared to have a motorbike parked on a pavement. Well, it's not in anybody's way. It's a wide pavement. She said, that's not the point.
Yeah.
So there's disabled parking spaces next to it and you're not disabled. So either park in a proper parking place. She said, I don't care. There's one just down the road there that's a free space. Wheel it down there and put it there and I'll lose my space in the queue. She said, I will wait in the queue for you. And he starts with a load of abuse and I shouldn't have to do this. And in the end, I just looked at him and I said, I said, the law's for everybody. It's not just for everybody other than you. It includes you.
Yeah.
Park in a designated space. It'll take you 2 minutes and she'll keep out of it. It's nothing to do with you. Well, red flag to a bull.
Yeah.
So at that point, Helen's saying, right, sort yourself out. So there's a couple of guys in the queue and I just looked at them and I went, are you standing here ignoring this? And this fellow went, what? I've got my earphones in. So he took his earphones out and he said, what's going on, love? And I said, he's just parked there. Is that a parking space? Well, no, of course it isn't. What sort of idiot does that? Not realising the guy stood behind him, gobbing off at the PCSO. And the other fella says, well, I wasn't really paying attention, but is he doing any harm? And I said, well, actually, he's parked on a pavement that you've paid for. Well, I hadn't really thought about it like that. And I said, no, nobody ever does. Well, I'll go. And this old lady said, go and park in a proper place. Well, I'll have to pay. Well, everyone else has had to.
Yeah.
So off he goes, huffing and puffing, and then he drives all the way around the town to get into a parking space when he could have just down one street round the back and done half the circuit. So he then gets parked and he turns up and he's, well, that was just a waste of time, wasn't it? And Helen said, well, no, because I've kept your space for you. There's another 6 people come since then. You haven't lost your place in the queue.
Yeah.
Well, I had to pay for parking. And she said, well, you could have gone where I told you there was a space, but you didn't want to drive there, did you? You wanted to go off in a huff. And he's shouting and scruffing. And in the end, I just said, will you shut up?
Yeah.
And Helen went. And then he starts on about bastard police and all of this. And I said, if there's any more of that, I said, I've got my phone on and it's on record. So this can be on Facebook and YouTube right now if you want to carry on. And he shut up. And I thought, right, good.
Why does it get like that?
It does my head in, because when my dad was policing, it was the cash point cripples, you know, the sort where they've got this massive, expensive £80,000 vehicle, but they're not prepared to pay for parking. They're not prepared to walk 20 yards from a space you could spit at and hit. But they'll park on a pavement and damage a pavement so they can kind of lean out.
Yeah.
And do the cash point, and it just boils my blood. And in the days of Blockbuster, or as we used to call it, lackluster video, in the days of lackluster video, everybody used to park right outside there. And they'd oh, well, I'm just going in to pick something up. Well, then there'd be 30 minutes going, oh, I'm not sure. I want Jean-Claude Van Damme tonight. And my dad was forever putting tickets on them. And then they'd be coming out and swearing and shouting. Up until they saw that he was a good foot taller than them and he was having no nonsense. And you just think, they want the police to be there when there's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want the police to be there when they're acting like a bunch of selfish.
Yeah, because not all the rules apply to them. Do you know what they have in Saudi that we should have, right? Absolutely brilliant. Drive-through cash points. They are amazing. You literally just drive up to them and lean out of the window and get your money, and then you carry on driving through. It's fab.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. And then you wouldn't have any of this issue with people parking illegally.
I have a drive-through argument with a moron every time I go to town and just have a different moron.
I think there's like a pattern going on here. You know, is there a bit of a pattern as to why you always end up with an argument when you go into town?
I think it's because I don't stand any bullshit. I just can't be doing with it.
No,
and
I don't
think there's any excuse for being mean-spirited to other people, and I know how hard Helen works. And it's honestly, I said to him, what is your problem? Well, it's the police, they're too heavy-handed. I said, what? Because she wrestled you to the floor with a gun to your face and then put a knee on your neck for 9 minutes. So for God's sake, she's asked you to move your bike, shift it.
It is a thankless job because the people, the community just see them as like the enemy. And even the police, well, they call them plastic police, don't they? You know, so I do feel for them a bit, to be honest. My friend's husband is a PCSO.
I was glad she stuck to her guns, and she was so nice about it. If that had been my ex-husband when he was a sergeant, he'd have asked him once, nicely. Then he'd have grabbed him by the shoulders, walked him to his bike, put him on it, whacked his helmet on, and pushed him onto the road.
Yeah.
And had he not cooperated to that, he'd have been arrested. And there'd have been no discussion, absolutely zero tolerance when they were in charge in town. But, you know, I've never seen it as safe.
Yeah.
Nobody messed about. There was no stupidity because they knew that it would mean a night in the cells.
Yeah. Thing is that people haven't got the time anymore, though, have they?
Oh, the paperwork.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is.
I'll tell you what I was watching today on talking about police and, you know, all what's going on and everything. You've probably watched it. I was watching on Netflix, Dear White People. Have you seen it?
I've seen some of it. I haven't seen all of it yet.
I enjoyed it, actually. I was reading the reviews. It was getting slated. It was getting a lot of 1 stars. I thought it was all right.
I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah. And
it's opened up a lot of conversations, hasn't it?
Well, the main character, the girl, that Samantha, she was just stunning with the most beautiful eyes. I just found myself mesmerised by them a bit, really. Yeah, I was enjoying that. I was just watching that this afternoon. I might watch some more of that tomorrow.
I was when I was wearing my Amelie shawl the other day, one of the things that reminded me of when we met Joan in Edinburgh is we had lunch at the World's End pub.
Oh, yeah.
World's End pub is sort of famous for 2 murders in the 70s of 2 young teenage girls.
Okay.
And there was something on Netflix about like Crime UK or something like that. And this investigator who's looking at some of these old crimes, and he sort of picked up on the fella that's in jail for these 2, and then started investigating other murders of women that he thinks is potentially the murderer for.
Was it the
then also found a different murderer who was suspect for some other ones. And then possibly a partner who'd worked with him. And it was fascinating how they'd worked through it. And evidence that sort of wasn't followed up on. He had a caravanette, one of these fellas. And somebody thought it was probably a Volkswagen. Now, they never looked at any other make of caravanette, but the Toyota Hiace was really popular at the time. And one of the guys who's since been arrested and is serving life in jail, actually for offences involving children, of which we will not speak, but has been known to be involved in other murders and had this caravanette that looks exactly like the other type, and was in the area within 100 yards of where a body was found.
I think I've seen this. Did he have a wife?
Yeah.
And he used the thing as like a work thing. Is it the one that was on the ITV? And there's like a male detective, and I think he's got like a female assistant, and they write on like a glass screen. Really good program. Is that I'm not sure if it's the same murder, but it's definitely the same series where There was a young girl and she had a car and it was left abandoned, like looking out.
Yeah, same series, yeah.
Yeah. Good.
And
It's really good.
I found it really interesting, the evidence that perhaps wasn't followed up that should have been.
Hmm.
And it'd be interesting to see some of the other crimes in the other series. I've only watched so many. But yeah, I quite enjoyed that this week.
I'd like him and his team to do one on Madeline,
Yeah,
because that was a total and utter cover up by the police chief, I think.
it was a mess. But I'm not being funny. We went to Praia de Luz the year after Maddie went missing,
Right.
and it was like a ghost town.
Yeah,
It
because
was,
nobody wants to go there anymore, do they?
well, and it's one of those places where most things are overlooked. And we were in a set of apartments, beautiful apartments, sort of 5-star, I have to say, really, really good. But you know, you couldn't fart there without 400 people seeing you. It was impossible to do anything in private. And then we went to this particular restaurant, and the lady was like, "Oh, you're from the UK, are you? I suppose you know about the McCanns." And we said, "Well, yeah." But it didn't put us off coming. And they said, "Well, it's put a lot of people off, and people here hate them, not least because of all the lies." And I said, "What do you mean, all the lies?" Well, the pubs round there, you have a go around there, and they were in there every night. Or in this other place where they were when she was taken. They were out every night. All of the adults, all of the kids were left in the apartment. Now, their kids were drugged. I'm sorry, but if a single mother on my street had drugged her kids on holiday and one of them got killed, she'd never get her kids back.
It's because they're
part of the inequality of the thing. But we went to where they said they were on the night that she went missing, and you cannot see that apartment from there at all. And the people in Praia de Luz absolutely hate the McCanns.
Yeah.
Now, one of the ladies that I know up on the West Coast, Mystic Mag, they used to call her at one of the companies that was a client of mine, and she always said that she was some sort of psychic medium, and she always said that Maddie McCann was in the bottom of the ocean, and that her parents had put her there because they'd overdosed her accidentally.
My mum always says that.
And I think that's a good working theory. And the thing is, and I'm going to sound awful now, because these are parents in grief, they've lost a child, and I get that. But when you look at somebody like Jonathan Ball, one of the little boys who was blown up at the Remembrance Day parades, I think it was Warrington, that couple divorced. The James Bulger killing, that marriage absolutely imploded. And it was because not only were they wanting to blame each other, nobody wanted the blame, but they were quietly blaming themselves at the same time. And it's not sustainable. But the McCanns, you couldn't get a piece of Velcro between them two.
Because there's a secret there. They're hiding each other's secret. My mum has always said that they were
in our opinion.
What? Sorry?
In our opinion.
Oh, well, it's not even my opinion, it's my mum's opinion.
Oh, okay.
My mum always said that she believed that they had a hand in it. She's not saying that necessarily they did anything on purpose, but she's saying that they know. My mum says that they know. But then my mum also says that Prince Philip had Queen Elizabeth, Princess Diana killed off. So, you know. My mum has a lot of opinions, shall we just say.
Yeah, I think with the McCanns, I just found them very difficult people to have any kind of empathy towards. They rub me up the wrong way.
And I do think
I feel like that about them.
Yeah, but I know it's been in the news a lot recently, but there is an element of white privilege there for definite, because Piers Morgan has said it himself. If that was a black family how differently would they have been treated?
Well, yeah, or a working class family from a housing estate like
Single mum, you know, it's the fact that they were both professional, they're both doctors. Madeline was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So she fitted, you know, whatever you want to put her on the telly or on your newspaper. She did sell pictures, didn't she? I mean, no matter what happened to her, if she was taken, there's no way she could have stayed alive because she was just everywhere. Her photos were everywhere. She was unique looking with that eye.
well, and I think the thing as well is I think they've overdosed them kids
Mm.
because the hairs that they found in the back of the vehicle had a toxic amount
They had
of
something like they'll have had something like Finnegan. I used to give Callum Finnegan when we used to fly backwards and forwards to Saudi because he used to get really badly travel sick. He's like me. And it's like a really strong antihistamine, but it makes you sleepy. So I used to give him this Finnegan and he'd sleep on the plane for the 6 hours. They've obviously given him they've given the kids something like that, haven't they? Because the twins didn't wake up.
We're doing that every night with all three children.
Yeah, because they didn't want to have their fun ruined.
But I mean, with my parents lived in Norway.
Yeah.
They moved out there. Mum and I moved out there when I was 6 weeks old because she went home to Scotland to have me. Dad was moving from one posting to another, so he'd moved to Norway. We came back here. I arrived.
Yeah.
I was old enough to go. Off we went to Norway. Now, they only knew the people that they worked with, and everybody lived on the same sort of international estate that worked on the NATO base. They were really the only people that they knew, and it was so expensive to go out. It was like 10 quid a pint or something in those days. You know, we're talking in 1968, for goodness sake. It was outrageous money for a night out, but you could get booze for a night in.
Yeah.
So they all used to have parties at one another's houses on a Saturday night, and the kids would either be one set of parents would have their children and everybody else would party, or if they had a big enough place, the children would arrive in carry cots or blankets and go into a spare room in one of the houses, and parents would be checking on them every so many minutes just to make sure everyone was okay. All the kids were fairly young and we'd all be flat out. Goodness knows how many houses I slept in while they were partying, but the kids were never left. And to me, if I'd gone on holiday with 6 other couples or something, I'd have said, let's take turns.
Yeah.
And the kids come with us on the Saturday because the Portuguese love you to bring your children. It's not like they would even stop you taking your kids. That's the bit I don't understand. The only reason the kids weren't there is because the parents didn't want them on a night out.
Yeah, they wanted to relax and enjoy themselves and drink. And
Mike and I were offered babysitters and stuff while we were there.
yeah,
and with us everywhere because we would never leave him on holiday.
We wouldn't go anywhere that we couldn't hear the kids on the, you know, the little, what do you call them?
On the intercom thing.
Yeah, the baby monitors. And they don't have a very large range. And if you're out of range, sorry, I'm not going. I need to be able to hear my kids. So when Callum was little, especially, we lived in Saudi and we were on a compound. So he would be up in the bedroom and we would be downstairs in the garden, in the back garden with the monitor on, and we'd have people round, but we wouldn't go outside of our garden or next door's garden, which is where Bert, Phil's best friend, lived with his wife. And that was it. Our garden or next door's garden, and that is it. Even though we're on a compound with walls and, you know, you could arguably say it's the safest place ever. No, sorry, if I can't hear my kids, I'm not going.
Yeah, well, and that would be me. I could not have left him in any good conscience, and I do not understand why they did what they did. It's utterly selfish, and it feels like parents who have kids to be accessories, but then actually don't like the the experience of looking after them. It's all a bit hard work.
The strangest thing is, though, all three of their kids were from IVF. So you would have thought that somebody who'd had such difficulty having them would be a little bit more careful with them, wouldn't you?
I don't know. We had neighbours when I was growing up where the kids were adopted. They were just fancy accessories. There was no parenting went on.
Really? Suppose people, you know. Now it's a stranger's folk and all that lot. I don't know. I find the whole thing a little bit strange. There's stuff that doesn't add up. And people say, oh, why was it missed? Why was this missed and that missed and all the rest of it? I still honestly believe that the police chief was corrupt.
Most certainly, inept, most certainly.
And wasn't there something about in Portugal, the law is that nobody can be pronounced as missing for 48 hours, regardless of their age. I mean, a 3-year-old's not going to just wander off because they've had an argument with their mum and be peed off and not come back for 48 hours to let their mum and dad, like, miss them, are they?
No.
3-year-old should be pronounced missing immediately, no matter the circumstances, really. I mean, I think the thing for me is that Madeline was only a few months older than Caitlin. And it really hit home at the time. It was like, my God, you know.
I think we were quite lucky, really, that Jake was a little bit older. But, I mean, we discussed this on so many different occasions. And I just have always said to Mike, they're bound by a secret. How has that marriage survived? How has that survived? Just the chaos and the...
Because they both know something that nobody else knows. I don't know, I just find it all really weird. Should we talk about something more interesting?
Yeah. Tracy's just sent me some photographs of some fleece that she's got. She's selling. I don't know if we have any spinners. I'll have to put them in the group. Would you like to see those?
Yeah, let's have a look. I'm not a spinner, but, you know.
It's some Shetland, and it's the colour Murret. So, I'll go with that one. Can you see that? It's sort of a...
That looks like an actual sheep spread out.
It's beautiful. Absolutely stunning. And then there's the length, and look at the crimp.
See, it doesn't really mean much to me, but it would mean something to somebody who...
It will mean something to somebody who spins that
yeah.
crimp. And the length of the staple, it's about 2.5 inch staple.
Don't you need, like,
nice.
the longer the fibres, the better or something?
Do you want to see her broken finger?
No.
Okay, I won't show you that one.
I definitely don't want to see broken fingers. You know, I feel things. I've told you this before, haven't I?
Yeah.
I actually feel when somebody else is hurt. So I walked out of an interview when I was 18. I had an interview at Guy's and St Thomas's to be a nurse. And I walked out.
What nurse would you be?
Honestly, I walked out of that because I just could not. I'm not a nurse. Anyone who knows me knows I would not make a nurse. I actually would have been more suited to being police, but I failed the bleep test. 2 lengths, and I failed it. I actually would pass it now. I'm fitter now than I was when I was 18. I think I'd have made a good cop. I'd have made a better police officer than I would have done a nurse, that's for sure.
Oh, well.
Our local force is actually advertising, they're actually recruiting, and I did think about it.
Why not?
I did actually think about it, but no. I don't think it would. I don't think I would be any good now. I think I'm too set in my ways. I think, you know, if somebody's being a dickhead, I'd probably tell them rather than being diplomatic like you're supposed to. I think that boat sailed, to be honest. And could you imagine me, who likes to go to bed at 8:30, having to do a night shift?
Well, you know.
Please don't burgle that shop at 1 o'clock in the morning, because I'm just curled up in the back of my car.
Snoring loudly.
Yeah. Well, honestly, no, I don't think I'd be any good. I really don't. I think when I was younger and I was malleable, shall we say, I actually think I would have suited the police. And then, you know, as you get older and more mature, go and branch off. And I definitely think I would have liked to work in family liaison or victim support or something like that. But I think it's too
Yeah, you
late
do
now.
know that family liaison and victim support isn't really about victim support or liaison.
Oh, no, that.
It's
It's
about watching the family because it's usually them.
exactly. And I think I'd be quite good at that.
If you've ever watched a series called The Closer with Kyra Sedgwick, Kevin Bacon's wife, there's a character in that, and he says it's always the husband, it's always the husband, it's always the husband, except when it's the boyfriend, the child, or the wife.
Well, 99% of the time it's somebody very close.
It's usually someone that you know.
Yeah.
In.
It is very rare. I mean, that's why I'm quite happy to go out and walk the dog at 5 o'clock in the morning, because it is very rare that somebody would just come up and attack you randomly like that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's true. And the other thing is, and nobody you know will be up at that time in the morning. Not even me, unless the ghost had woke me up, you know.
I'm quite happy to go out at 5 o'clock, walk the dog while it's quiet, there's nobody around, come back home and go back to sleep for a couple of hours.
Oh, do you want to see a Shetland Cheviot cross?
Yes, I would like to see that.
This one's called
It's
Winnie.
not got a broken finger, has it?
No broken fingers. So.
No. I would like to see that.
Okay, so
train, yeah, I like to see that as well.
So that's Winnie.
Oh.
And that's the staple length, so 3 1/4, 3.5 inch staple. You see the crimp?
I see it. It means nothing to me, unfortunately.
And that's the rest of the place.
That looks very much like a carpet that my nan used to have.
Oh, and that picture is it's a Fibre One chocolate brownie bar warmed up in the microwave, and she's having that with strawberries and cream, and it's 5.5 sins. That looks really deliciously good.
Those Fibre One bars, I used to love those before I decided I couldn't eat gluten and stuff. They're really nice, aren't they?
They're full of inulin though, and according to your FODMAP book thing, you shouldn't have anything with inulin.
Well, that's probably why it upset my stomach, but I used to like the taste of them.
It's possibly not the gluten in those then. It may be the additives or the fibre or something else.
Possibly.
Because I don't get any issues with gluten abroad where the flour doesn't have the preservatives and shit in it.
I think that's possibly what it is.
I don't know. I like to have a little bit of gluten in my diet, even if it's a small amount, not getting gluten-free oats and things like that. And only because if I cut it out completely and then have some by accident, I will end up with a massive reaction.
Yeah. But I think
right. We've got another one now.
Go on then.
This is Faragi. So this is...
That looks really super soft.
So Faragi. Look at the staple length, 4 to 5 inches for Faragi. Look at that. That's beautiful.
Is that like Nigel?
I'll tell you what sheep that is in a moment. And then this is Delight. So that's a Hebridean Texel cross.
Winnie
again. And Delight Hebridean Texels and 2.5 to 3 inch staple.
Can we see the actual animals?
No, she didn't photograph those because they've recently been sheared, obviously, because she's got the fleece.
Yeah, but it would have been nice to see them.
I'll get her to take some photographs of them and maybe come on live with us one evening and talk about their various ones. Now, she rears them for the lamb, has to be said.
Okay.
But because she's interested in arts and crafts and she knows I knit, I don't spin so much now. But I know a lot of spinners who I've introduced her to and buy from her. So when the sheep are in certain fields, they get little jackets on them. So the amount of vegetable matter and thorns and gorse and stuff that's in there. Oh, here we go. So this is Beth.
Wow. Oh, wow. Look at that.
So again, lovely and dark and all the natural colour.
The black sheep of the
They're
family.
of Beth, 3.5 inches.
Wow. I'm not a spinner. Is anyone a spinner?
They're really good for felting or anything like that as well, because obviously you get your different colours. When Tracy had broken her finger, I took her to the crafternoon in the village.
Yeah.
And the vicar here, the priest in charge, she does a lot of felting. And she made a bauble, which Tracy then put a sheepy face on.
Oh.
Oh, this is another one. Here we are. Dunlin.
Not done roaming.
Not yet. That's really pretty.
I've never done any spinning.
I used to have an Ashwood Kiwi spinning wheel and I absolutely love spinning. Once I'd stopped fighting the wheel and sort of relaxed back into my chair, I can actually produce a very fine lace weight yarn and it's very even, and once or twice on the yarns I've done, and especially once they're plied, people have struggled and tried to tell me that no, that's bought, and it isn't. It was my own hand spun. So Dunlin is a Gulmaget Shetland.
Never heard of one of those.
I think Gulmaget might be the colour.
Right.
And that's Bess's daughter. And she said that those two colours together, Bess's is a Bess and Murit. What?
So am I right in thinking that it's normally the boys that we eat?
They're more likely to go straight to slaughter.
Right.
Because unless you need a tuck for breeding. So this is a shearling Hebridean. So again, that's a really long staple. That's nearly 7 inches. So that would be really good.
Everyone likes a good 7 inches, don't they?
They do. It's about the size of a tea plate for our American friends. In case you're wondering about a frame of reference for those inches.
Well, I had no idea what a good 7 inches looks like, personally.
I'm bloody sure I can't remember. So yeah, shearling Hebridean. The Hebridean it's a little bit rougher. As some of the others, it's really good and solid for rugs and handbags and art and things like that. And if you can get one that's got interesting curls and stuff on it, you can cut the curls and then weave them into your knitting and have sort of curls, you know, like a dwarfy beard or something. They can be really, really good.
I did used to love my nan's sheepskin rug. I used to lay on it. It was so soft. I don't know what it was.
All right. So postage £3 for one fleece, £5 for two, 7 for three, because of the size and the boxes that they have to go into.
That's quite reasonable for postage.
Yeah. But look at that Faraji again. That's absolutely stunning.
That's definitely like Nigel, though.
I don't think it'll be wanting to leave the EU.
Oh, right, okay. That's okay then. He can
that Dunlin.
I like that picture there where you can see the browns and the blacks.
Absolutely beautiful.
The previous one just looked like it was a little bit dirty, to be perfectly honest.
There are companies who will take a whole fleece like this and felt it into a rug.
Yeah.
And that's something we did discuss having a go at.
It's a pity though that you know, even still now, definitely a few years ago, but even to an extent now, that people don't feel it's worth keeping those and selling them. They just like chucked them in the ground or burnt them or whatever, didn't they? Because they just didn't think it was worth doing anything with them, which is sad.
It is a bit, isn't it?
Did I tell you I got a composter?
You did, yeah.
I'm excited to get started on that. It's down the end of the garden. So you can put wool on your composter.
You can.
Anything that has lived, apparently.
Yeah, you don't want to be putting meat in it though, because you'll attract rats.
No meat. Because I was thinking, oh, I wonder if I could put the dog poo on, but no, that's a big no-no.
Yeah.
But you can compost dog poo, but you have to do it separate.
You can get a special bin that
Yeah.
you bury in the garden and then just take the lid off to add the poop and then put it back on again.
Because it does actually upset me, the whole thought of putting dog poo into bags, even like the biodegradable ones and that. It's a little bit...
I think it's years of having to pick up poo in bags or with a bag wrapped around your hand or with gloves or whatever to clean up your dogs, obviously, as a responsible dog owner. And it has always made me slightly uncomfortable to think that we're using these bags, and now they're saying to us we should use biodegradable bags, and I get that.
Yeah.
But then if that goes into landfill and then you've got people who are sorting at the landfill or equipment, or I don't know, say somebody's murdered and they're dumped at the landfill, which is not an unusual thing, and these poor detectives have got to go sifting through, and then you end up moving something out of the way and the bag degrades. And I just think, ew. So, yeah, I just think we should all be given sort of a dog composter that we can
do something
bury in the garden and put the poop into that. But I suppose you'd have to feng shui your house, because you don't want to put the dog poo composter in the bit of your property that generates the money. That would be good luck, isn't it?
Dog poo doesn't belong in landfill, let's be perfectly honest. I do feel a little bit better with Arthur, because where he's raw fed, I've left a poo in the back garden before, and I've looked at it, and within about 48 hours it's gone. You've no idea that there was a poo there, because there's no... The problem with most modern dog food is the fact that it's jam-packed full of preservatives. So all the dogs are doing is, passing a poo that's full of preservative, and you're preserving the poo, basically. I read a report, actually. This is a lovely topic of conversation. That dogs...
Aren't you glad you tuned in tonight, lady?
Yeah, because I'm going to tell you that dogs that are fed on a typical dog food diet actually poop out 70% of what you feed them. However, if you feed them raw, they only poop out 40%.
I'd be worried about mine with the fine bones, because those in particular, they're prone to intestinal obstruction.
Well, all I can say is that after eating half a rabbit that he caught on Tuesday, Arthur didn't have an upset tummy at all. He coped with it perfectly fine.
Oh, well, maybe you need to eat half a rabbit next time you've got an upset tummy. Perhaps not raw, though.
Honestly, it was disgusting. He really was not my friend that day. He was not my friend.
It's his nature.
Well, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I watched a movie on Disney Plus called 8 Below. Have you seen it?
No.
Don't watch it. Do not watch it, right? It's got that guy in from... Do you remember the Fast and Furious movies? The one that died in the car crash?
Paul something or other.
Yeah, the cute one. He was gorgeous. Well, he's in it, and they're in the Antarctic. And the guy out of American Pie, the lad who lives with his mum and dad, and the dad's got...
Never watched an American Pie.
Oh, well, I think I've watched the first one. Anyway, this lad's in it anyway. Right, so basically they're in the Antarctic doing experiments. They've got 8 dogs, 8 huskies or Malamites or something. I'm not quite sure what the difference is. And they get this scientist that comes down because there's a rock that's landed from Jupiter or Mars or Venus or somewhere, I don't know, and he needs to go out and find this rock. So they go on the sled with the 8 dogs, and these dogs save this scientist's life twice, right? He's an idiot. He's a dick.
I'm not sure I understand.
Shut up, Siri. Anyway, they save his life twice, and then they come back in a massive storm, and it's like the winter is coming early. We need to evacuate early. We're all jumping on this helicopter. We're flying out. We'll come back for the dogs because the professor, scientist, whatever he is, has injured himself. He needs to lay flat in the helicopter. We haven't got enough room for the dogs. We've got to leave the dogs behind. They all go off. This Paul guy or whatever wakes up in the hospital and he's like, "Where's my dogs? Did you go back for my dogs?" "No, we couldn't go back for the dogs because the weather's too bad." "You're joking? We've tied them up." Right, these dogs, they tied them up in chains, tightened the collars and left them outside. Why would you do that? Why would you leave the dogs outside chained up? I don't get it. Right, I'm shouting at the TV at this point. This is a Disney movie for children. Seriously. And then they leave them for 6 months. 6 months. Seriously, guys, these poor dogs. Anyway, he goes back and 6 of them have made it. God knows how, but they've made it. And yeah, these poor animals, they go and they chase all sorts and they eat all the raw things. And it's the same with Arthur. You let him out, what's he going to chase? He's going to chase the rabbits.
Old lady next door.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
Well, you know, if I took the fence
down, no, nobody's listening. It's okay.
If we took the fence down, it'd be fine. Michelle's listening because she keeps telling that she's got a bunny rabbit and she keeps threatening the bunny that Arthur's going to come round and tell her off. Sorry, it's a girl. Bun bun. She calls her Minty Pie Crust. I think it's a good name for a rabbit.
It is a good name.
But, you know, if you let your dogs out in the wild, my point is, what are they going to chase after? What are they going to try and eat? They're not going to go chasing after flipping, I don't know, wheat or something in the fields, are they? At least I know that if Arthur ever had to fend for himself, he'd be all right. Wouldn't he?
He'd be fine.
But yeah, don't watch 8 Below. I mean, seriously, would you make a children's movie where you tie 8 dogs up and leave them in the middle of a snowstorm?
No, it's awful. Oh, Tracy got one of the pictures wrong, so she's just sent a message with correcting it. So I'll show you that while we've got
I would like sheep pictures. I like sheeps. Rita's laughing. Is Rita laughing at me?
We're always laughing at you.
That's all right then, as long as I know it's fine.
Yeah, it's not a problem. So
I'm here to entertain.
Where's my message? Oh, any week now, Facebook, for God's sake.
I'll show you a little flash of my knitting while we're at it. Woo.
Yeah. Oh, she's done it again. She sent me the winning photograph again. Right.
Rita says she's laughing. She's laughing in reaction to who Arthur might chase if he got out.
It would solve the problem, wouldn't it, Rita? Should
I just let the fence down? It'll be fine. It'll solve all our problems, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, and you maybe need to invite like Zoltan, Hound of Dracula, to stay for a few weeks. They just sort out all the neighbours.
Wasn't Zoltan the name of the game thing in Big where he puts his money in
I
and he
think it
makes,
might be.
yeah.
Let me
I
see.
love that movie.
I'm just
I
getting everything ready with her when she actually does this photograph. 3 times she sent me this picture of Winnie again.
get it together, love. I don't know. It's not as if she hasn't got a captive audience. There's at least 4 of us waiting. Have you told her?
Yeah, I'm just messaging now.
So, you know, she's got at least 4 people. I'm not sure. There's Rita, there's Michelle, there's you, there's I. I'm not sure who else might be watching. Love it.
Nothing yet. I think me saying that I'm live on Facebook has maybe freaked her out. So
She's like, oh, God.
might have run away.
Run away! That reminds me of the Monty Python thing. Which has been, you know.
It's not still not come with the photograph, so we won't worry about that for now.
Tell her we're waiting for sheep photos.
Yeah, I'll post them in the group with the prices, and if anybody knows any spinners, do please share, and I'll pass on contact details.
I spin a yarn, but not actual yarn, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that count?
I think so.
That's all right then. That's okay. Well, you know, the wine is gone.
Yeah, it's coming up time for us to finish. We said we'd finish at 8 o'clock tonight, and we've done it again.
It's me. You can't shut me up, especially once I've had a glass of wine.
Oh, we have a photograph. So,
come on then. Share these.
You see it now?
Ooh, Heb X Tex.
Yeah, so that's Hebridean crossed with a Texel.
What's a Texel? I know what a Hebridean is.
It's a sheep.
Well, duh.
You're asking me? It's a sheep. That would be the extent of my knowledge. It'd be a sheep. Oh, there's some more pictures around.
You can make a giggles.
No shock there then. Right, here we go. Got some more pictures. That's not a sheep.
That's cow parsley, isn't it? Or something? Oh, no, clover.
Clover.
Clover, yeah.
So there's Delight.
Oh, Delight.
And there's the staple length, 2.5 to 2 3/4 inch. And there she is in all her glory.
So these poor sheep's a little bit cold now because it's not exactly warm out there.
It has been actually quite humid here, and it's not cold outside.
Oh, so they're all right. They're not all like shivering.
They're perfectly fine. And they have a number of field shelters in each of the fields. And she's showing the clover because these are grass-fed, but it's herbal pasture.
What's that mean?
So it means that the grass that they seed is mixed with herb seeds.
So does that make it better?
It makes the lamb taste of the herbs from the inside out. So you get a richer flavour to the lamb and the mutton because they're pasture fed. And they're also healthier because a lot of these herbs are chosen because of their benefits to the sheep's health.
Does that mean that you don't have to add rosemary when you're cooking them?
You probably add some, but you wouldn't need to add like a ton of salt or other seasoning because the meat has its own strength of flavour as opposed to something that's killed too young.
I like it.
And hasn't been grass fed, that's been fed sort of purchased food. So pasture fed is better. They're working towards organic accreditation, but she's got another year, I think, to do.
Yeah.
So what is called is traditionally reared. So basically it's the same as organic, and you do not use antibiotics unless it's a matter of saving the sheep's life. So these aren't antibiotic fed animals, whereas traditional sheep feed that you would buy that goes to a lot of farms, the cake that they put out for them, sort of like brown pellets,
Yeah.
that stuff very often is infused with antibiotics.
It feels a bit mean. It's a bit like, saving the animal's life so that you can kill it.
Well, and the thing is, it doesn't actually improve the health of the animal because it's like giving permanent antibiotics to a person. It gradually destroys the immune system.
So when they actually need it, it's not going to work.
The antibiotics are going to be much less likely to work.
It's just wrong. I like that clover.
Routinely fed them. It's really interesting if you're ever over here, if we ever actually get to Woolfest again, I must arrange to take you down to see the various sheeps and breeds at the fields.
I love
And meet them all because they've all got names and they all answer to their names. And you'll meet Billy the goat, who used to be Billy the kid, and follows round. He wants fussing all the time. He won't leave you alone.
I want to see Billy the kid.
And he's sort of at eye level now, so it's quite intimidating.
Yeah, they're a bit scary, actually. Do you not think?
He's a big old softy, actually. He just doesn't like you petting the sheep instead of him. He's more likely to get between you and a sheep.
Oh, he's basically like a jealous dog.
Yeah, I'll put some of the links to the videos. She did put some videos in the group a while ago of the lambs all chasing one another across the field.
Right.
Because they just run around like lunatics when they're little.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So Hebridean Texel Cross, there you are.
Wow.
So, I'll get Tracy to join us one evening and she can explain the differences between the breeds and perhaps show us some photographs. And
yeah, that'd be cool.
Tracy, for those that don't know, is kind of my son's mother outlaw. Her daughter Rosie is my son's girlfriend, and they've been together 4.5 years almost.
Yeah.
And they're so well suited, it's a joy to have them. So we're kind of family, really. I'd just refer to them as the outlaws.
Which they are.
Well, outlaws are wanted, aren't they?
Exactly. Rather than in-laws who don't generally seem to be.
I've always got on quite well with my in-laws. My mother in York used to make me laugh though, because we'd be out shopping, you'd be in Marks and Spencer's or somewhere, and she'd be going, "Do you like that?" and then trying to buy it for you.
Yeah, and you're like,
"Oh,
please.
no, it's not really my thing. It's fine." And then you'd hear her going, and I say, "Oh, what's that you humming?" "I'm not humming." Okay. So I learnt really early on, you never mention the humming.
Okay, fair enough.
We'd arrive at, I don't know, 11, and they would make us a cup of tea, and Kevin would be sat there going, "This is Jake's daddy," be going, "Unauthorized brew in progress. Unauthorized brew in progress." Unauthorized brew, unauthorized brew. And then at 11 o'clock, they'd make themselves a drink, and you another one.
Oh,
But
God.
they had to have theirs at 11.
What's that all about?
I think it's just that was their routine. And they'd been retired a while, and that was just their routine. And it just always used to tickle me. And he would wander around the house, unauthorized brew, unauthorized brew. Don't touch the biscuits, don't touch the biscuits. She'd be, "Oh, I didn't get your biscuits," and running off to the kitchen to go and get homemade shortbread for him and stuff.
Oh,
really lovely people. Very cool.
My brew law is: has your cup got a brew in it? No, right. Well, it's time to have one. Like literally, as soon as I finished one, I need to make another one. My cup can't be empty.
That's fine.
Yeah, but it's a bit awkward when you're at work and you try and actually get some work done.
Yeah.
People don't understand. It's all right when you work from home. It's fine.
Well, and you've got sort of 3 toilets.
Well, yeah, exactly. But when you're at work, people tend to think you're slacking a bit when you're just constantly making a cuppa.
Yes, well, especially if it takes you 20 minutes for every brew.
Well, yeah. And then every time you do a
Understandable.
brew, you have to go to the toilet, don't you? You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, have we got any more comments? Don't think we've got any more comments.
I might need to go to sleep.
Yeah, it's about that time. I think we should say thank you very much for putting up with all our waffling.
I have definitely waffled tonight.
Putting the world to rights. And
I've had wine, haven't I?
we've been all around the world this evening and back to the Lake District and all our sheepies.
Honestly.
So we'll speak to Tracy about her joining us one evening and talking to you about sheep and sharing some photographs.
We need pictures of actual sheeps, though, not just fleeces.
Video of the sheep. So,
perfect. Love sheeps. I want a sheep.
Well, they're better than llamas or alpacas because at least they don't spit at you
Oh, yeah.
or roll in the dirt.
I'd quite like both, though. I could do with some chickens as well.
We wanted Chuck. Always wanted to.
Did you know my nickname is Barbara with my friends?
Why is it Barbara?
You know, as in the good life Barbara.
Oh, okay.
Because I've started composting and all the rest of it.
Okay.
Anne Hall calls me Barbara. So
I thought it was because they're rhubarb.
Rhubarb Barbara.
Rhubarb.
That was the funniest thing ever.
Yes, just yeah.
Yeah.
If you've not seen it, you're probably not missing much. But if you like funny words in other languages, then you might enjoy it. Rita said that was fun. Lovely to see you all. Emma's going to go to bed now.
Yeah, and sober up, I think.
And what day are we on? Thursday. So we'll see you Sunday afternoon. If anybody's got any requests, or we want to do a Q&A, or is there something that you would like to cover on Ravelry, or are you making something and you want to chat about colours or whatever, then, you know.
Suggest your new yarn.
Yeah. Or whether you'd like me to wear my orange bra on Sunday instead of my pink and purple one.
Well, that one just goes so well with your cardigan.
Yeah, it's orange with a purple trim, that one.
So you'd need to wear something to match.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll have something.
Cool.
I've got my purple drops, Edie, that I could wear with it.
Sounds like a plan.
It would go quite well. Right, so we'll see you Sunday, guys. Thank you ever so much. Lovely to see you all. Take care. Be good. Stay safe. Wash your hands. 2 meters social distancing and all that. And good night.